My name is Angel Paisano Cruz, and this is my Unit 3 reading project. The History of William Wilson, Part 1. Let me call myself for the present William Wilson. That is not my real name. That name has already been the cause of the horror of the danger of my family. Have not the winds carried my name? With my loss of honor to the ends of the earth, I not forever did to the world, to the honors, to its flowers, to its golden hopes. And a club heavy and endless, does it not hang forever between my hopes and heaven? Men usually become but my degree, but I let all goddess fall from me in a single moment, as if I had dropped a quote. From small acts of darkness I passed, in one great step, into the blackest evil ever known. Listen while I dealt to the one cause that made this happen. Death is near, and its coming has softened my spirit. I desire, in passing thought, disabling the understanding of other men. I wish them to believe that I had been, in some ways, in the power of force beyond human control. I wish them to think for me in the history I am about to tell some small facts that perhaps I could have done only what I did. I would have, then I agree, that what happened to me never happened to other men. Is it not true that no one has ever suffered as I do? Had I not indeed been living in a dream? And I am not now drained from the horror and the unswear question, the mystery of the wildest dream ever dreamed on earth? In one of the family well known for their bossy means. As a small child, I showed clearly that I too had the family charter. As I became older, I grew more powerful in me. For many reasons, it became a cause of talk among friends, and the hurt it did me was great. I wanted people always to do things my way. I act like a willful, I let my desires control me. My father and mother, weighed in body and mind, could do little to hold me back. When their efforts failed, of course my will grew stronger. From then on my voice in the house was low. At that age, when failed children are allowed to be free, I was left to be guided by my own desire. I became the master of my own actions. I remember my first schools. It was in a large house about 300 years old, in a small town in England, among a great number of big trees. All of the houses there were very old in truth. It was a dream lake, and a spirit quieting the dull town. At this moment I seemed to feel the pleasant coolness under the shade of the trees. I remember the sweetness of the flowers. I heard again with delight and cannot explain the dead sound of the church village house breaking the stillness of the day. It gives me pleasure to think about this school. Has much pleasure, perhaps, as I am now able to experience. Then suffering as I am, suffering only to real. Perhaps no one will achieve it for a short time. I forget my troubles and tell a little about this period. Moreover, the period and place are important. It was then and through that fear saw, hanging over me the terrible promise of things to come. Let me remember. The house where we boys lived and went to school was, as I have said, all and white. The grounds about it were large, and there was a high wall around the outside of the whole school. Beyond this wall we went 3 times in each week. On one day to take short walks in the neighboring fields, and 2 times on Sundays to go to church. This was the one church in the village, and the head teacher of our school was also the head of the church. With the spirit of that wonder and no doubt I used to watch him there. This man with a slow, steady and quiet, thoughtful face, in clothes so different and seeming clean. Could this be the same man who, with a hard face and clothes far from clean, stopped ready to strike us if we did not follow the rule of the school? Oh, great and terrible question. Beyond my small power to answer, I will remember our playground, which was behind the house. There were no trees, and the ground was hard as stones. In front of the house, there was a small garden, but we stepped into the garden only at very special times, such as we first arrived at a school, or when we leave in for the last time, or perhaps when father or mother or a friend came to take us away from a few days. But the house, what a delightful old building it was to truly a palace. There was really no end to it. It was not always able to say certainly which of its two floors. It happened to be odd. From each room to every other there were always three or four steps either up or down. Then the rooms branched into each other, and these branches were too many to count, and often turned and came back, often themselves. Our ideas about the whole great house were not very far different from the thoughts we had about time without end. During the 5 years it was there, I could never have told anyone how to find the little room where I and some 18 or 20 other boys slept. The schoolroom was the large room in the house, and I count hell thinking it was the large in the work. It was long and low, with pointed windows and heavy wood overhead. In a far corner was the office of our head teacher, Mr. Ramsey. This office had a trade door, and he would rather have it than open it when we was not there. Inside the thick walls of this old school, I paced my years from then to fit him. Yet, I always found it interesting. A child's mind does not need the outside work in the quiet school. I found more work pleasure than I found later, and as a young man in riches or as an older man in grandeur. Yet I must have been different in that from most boys. Few men remember much of their early life. My early days start out as clear and plain as if they had been cut in gold. In truth, the hotness of my character and my desire to lead and command soon separate me from the others slowly and gain control over all who were not greatly older than myself, overall except one. This section was a boy who, though not of my family, had the same name as my aunt, William Wilson. This boy was the only one who ever dared to say he did not believe a little him, and who would not follow my commands. This troubled me greatly. I tried to make the others think that I didn't care. The truth was that I felt afraid to him. I had to fight to appear equal with him, but he easily kept himself equal with me. Yet no one else felt, as I did, that is proved in the better of the two. Indeed, no one else saw the battle going of between us. All these attempts to stop me in what I wanted to do were made when no one else could see it to use. He did not desire, as I did, to let the other boys. He seemed only to want to hold me back. Sometimes with wonder and always without pleasure, I saw that his manner seemed to show a keen afflaut for me. I did not feel tempted for this. I thought it meant only that he thought himself to be very fine indeed, better than me. Perhaps it was this love he showed for me, added to the fact that we had the same name, and also that we had entered the school on the same day, which made people say that we were brothers. Wilson did not belong to my family, even very distantly, but if we had been brothers, we would have been near to each other indeed. For I learned that we were both born on the 19th of January, 1809. This simple and strange and wonderful thing. The history of William Wilson, Part 2. In the first part of my history, I spoke about my life at my first school and about the other boys. over whom I gained free control. But there was one boy who would not follow my commands, who would not do what I told him to, as the other boys did. His name was the same as mine, William Wilson. Although he did not belong to my family in any way, he seemed to feel some love for me, and had entered the school the same day as I had. Many of the boys thought we were brothers. I soon discovered that we had been born on the same were brothers. I soon discovered that we had been born on the same day, January 19, 1809. Wilson continued his attempts to command me, while I continued my attempts to rule him. The strange this is that, although I did not like him, I could not hate him. We had a battle nearly every day, it is true. In public it would seem that it had been proved stronger, but he seemed somehow able to make me feel that this was not true, and that he himself was stronger. Nevertheless, we continued to talk to each other in a more or less friendly way. On a number of subjects, we agreed very well, and sometimes thought that if we had met another time and place, we might have become friends. It is not easy to explain my real feelings towards him. There was no love, and there was no fear. Yet saw some time to honoring him, and I wanted to learn more about him. Anyone experiencing human nature will not need to be told that Wilson and I were always together. This strange appearance of friendship, although we were not friends, caused, no doubt, the strangest of the battle between us. I tried to make two others lunch and him. I tried to get him pain while seeming to play a light-hearted game. My attempts were not as well successful, even though my plans were well made. There was much about his character that simply could not be launched at. It could find, indeed, but one witness. Perhaps he had been formed with it, or perhaps it had come from some illness. No one but me would have made any use of the against him. He was able to speak only in a very soft, low voice. This witness I never failed to use in any way that was in my power. Wilson could feedback, and he did. There was one way they hate, troubling me beyond measure. I had never liked my name. Too many other people had the same name. I would rather have a name that was not so often heard. The worst sickened me when one day I arrived at the school. A second William Wilson came also. I felt angry with him for having the name. I knew I would have to hear the name each day a double number of times. The other William Wilson would always be there. The other boys often thought that my actions and my belongings were his and his were mine. My anger grew stronger with every happening that showed that William Wilson and I were alike, in body or in mind. I had not then discovered the surprise fact that we were of the same age, but I saw that we were of the same height, and I saw that in form and in face we were also much the same. Nothing could trouble me more deeply, although the careful tried to keep everyone from saying it, than to hear anyone say anything about the likeness between use of mind, or of body, or of anything else. But, in truth, I had no reason to believe that this likeness was ever noticed by your Schoolfellows. He saw it and as clearly as I, that I knew Field, he discovered that in this likeness he could always find a way of troubling me. This proved the more than usual sharpness of his mind. His method, which was to encourage the likeness between us, lay both in words and in actions, and he followed his plan very well indeed. It was easy enough to have clothes like mine. He easily learned to walk and move as I did. His voice, of course, could not be as loud as mine, but he made his manner of speaking the same. Already this most careful picture of myself troubled me. I will not now attempt to tell. I think that it was the only one who noticed. I was the only one who saw Wilson's strange and knowing smiles, pleased with having produced in my heart the desired result. He seemed to laugh within himself and queer, nodding that no one laughed with him. I have already spoken how now he seemed to think he was better and wiser than I. He would try to guide me. He would often try to stop me from doing things I had planned. He would tell me what I should and should not do, and he would do this not openly, but in word or two in which I had to look for the meaning. As I grew older, I wanted less and less to listen to him. As it was, I could not be happy under his eyes. That always watched me. Every day I showed, more and more openly that I did not want to listen to anything he told me. I had said that in the first years, when we were in school together, my feelings might easily have been turned the intro friendship, but in later months, although he talked to me less often then, I almost hated him. Yet, let me be fair to him. I can't remember no time when what he told me was no wiser than would be expected from one of his years. His sense of what was good or bad was sharper than my own. I might today be a better and happier man if I had more often done what we said. It was about the same period, if I remember rightly, that by chance he acted more openly than usual, and I discovered in his in his manner sometimes that deeply interested me. Somehow he brought to me pictures of my early years. I remember I seemed things I could not have remembered. These pictures were wild, highlighted, and not clear, but I felt that very long ago I must have known this person standing before me. This idea, however, passed quickly as it come. It was on the same day that I had my last meeting at the school with this other strange William Wilson. That night, when everyone was sleeping, I got out of bed, and with a light in my hand, I went quickly through the house to Wilson's room. I had not been thinking of another of those plans to hurt him, with which I had until then had little success. It was my purpose now to begin to act according to this new plan. Having reached his room, I entered without a sound, leaving the light outside. I advanced at a step and listened. He was asleep. I turned, took the light, and as I went to the bed, I looked down upon his face. The coldness of ice filled my whole body. My knees trembled, my whole spirit was filled with horror. I moved the light nearer to his face. Was this the face of William Wilson? I saw indeed that I was, but I trembled as if with sickness, as I imagined that it was not. What was there in his face to trouble me so? I looked, and my mind seemed to turn in circles in the rush of my thoughts. It was not like this, surely not like this, that he appeared in the daytime, the same name, the same body, the same day that we came to school. And then there was his use of my way of walking, my manner of speaking. Was it, in truth, humanly possible that what I now saw was the result, and the result only, not his continued efforts to be like me? Failed. With wonder and fear, cold and trembling, I put out the light. In the quiet darkness, I went from his room, and without waiting 1 minute, I left that old school and never entered it again.